Good afternoon and welcome to Tip Demo Wednesday with Captain Stitches. Hi, I'm Jean. Welcome, everyone. Hello, Carol. Welcome to you. It's great to see you this afternoon. And what do I have planned for us this afternoon? Well, maybe something about a needlebook obsession. Yeah, that didn't come out right. A needlebook obsession? Do you know me well enough to know if I have an obsession with needlebooks? Or maybe you have an obsession with needlebooks. Whichever it may be, I am going to share a few tips this afternoon on how you can take all those needlebooks and turn them into useful organization. Also, just besides having them because you love them or collect them or have an obsession with them. But hello, Danielle. It's great to see you as well this afternoon. But I have a whole stack of needle books that some are completed, some are not. That also may be the sign of obsession when you have several that are not completed because you like them so much you keep starting more without finishing the ones that you're on. Yes, I hear you, Carol. But anyway, I am going to share with you, like I said, some tips on what you may want to do with some of your needle books or things like a needle book and how you can use them for organization for your hand stitching projects and some of your quilting projects. But I am going to need to switch cameras to be able to do that. So I will be using one of the overhead cameras. Hello, Agnes. It's great to see you as well. Let me make sure I click on the correct one here. There we go. But as you see, there is quite a stack here of needle books and also some other things that you normally would find in your needle books, or maybe a lot of them are empty or in the process of being finished, like a lot of mine. But we will get right into how you can do that with some first we're going to go so that we don't have all of these laying in there. We'll kind of look through a few of them first and talk about some of them as I lay them to the side so we have room to get started with showing how to use them. You may remember these hearts, which this one and that one doesn't have their closure on it yet. But I did in a previous video show how these are made. So you can go back and you can watch that if you like these. But they're little hearts that fold. And when you open them up, you have all these little pockets made out of felt to be able to place your different needles in. And you can just place needles in it however you want, but then you might have a hard time telling what needles are what. So you could either use just one entire part needle book for one specific type of needle, like you can have one for your hand quilting. You can have one for your applique. You can have one for your, let me see what else is there, your embroidery. See, and they you can have, have it labeled on the front somewhere or whatever so you remember which is which. But also you can take, and if you have, that you can write on in the inside, like this one is, you can actually write on each individual section the type of needle that that section is holding. And as you can see, this one says chenille 24. We have chenille 26, and we have embroidery size 7 right now in this one. And there's just a little needle threader thrown in there too, because most of the time we need a needle threader to thread our needles. And this one does have the snap already on that. But that's just one little type there, an idea. We'll set that out of the way. This one is also a very easy one to use. This is a eyeglass case, or in this example, this was actually purchased as Hobby Lobby, decorated like this because they know that they come in handy for notions and stuff for sewing and crafts. And this one I have added some things inside to make it a needle book, and you can do this with any eyeglass case. But I started off, first of all, you can line these with fabric and make them pretty and add some pockets and stuff in them as well. That's a little more detailed, and I do have another one that I will be doing that with later. But I put a piece of elastic in here to hold a little um, pincushion for needles, and then a smaller one that has pins in it. And then, of course, we always need a pair of scissors, so those are in there. Of course, a needle threader again. Well, there's a couple in there, I guess, a spare. And then this is a wooden carved, which was given to me as a gift because it's also personalized with my name inside it. But it has a magnet. There's magnets on the lid that keep it closed, and then there's a magnet that keeps. You probably can't see those too well. There you. Oops, go the right direction, Jean. But you can see them as I flash that and the light hits them, that there are needles on that magnet. So a good way to use this is just for one project at a time so that you have the specific needles for your project in there. But that stores all of that stuff neatly inside there, so you have it and ready to just throw in with your project and take along or have ready when you need it. These little ones are a lot like slow stitching projects made into needle books. And this all started with this very first one that I received as a gift from a good friend in a different Facebook group. And we're going to open it this way first so you can see that it is got the right direction. The slow stitching stitches on it and decorative and embroidery. So, and then antique buttons, lace, and everything like that. And then when we flip it over to the inside, it's got, and I've got that closed with a pin because it kept flopping open, but this opens up and it's got a place for your needles and everything. And then a little piece here it's got a couple needles and some pins in it. And then this is just a decorative little lace on there, or you could wrap some floss around there, whatever. But this all set off the idea for ones similar to it because they are such fun to make. And this is what kind of started me on my slow stitching journey. So thank you. You know who you are that sent me that. Hello, Donna. It's great to see you as well. Yes, looks like a needlebook explosion, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm calling it my needlebook obsession. But so after receiving that one, of course, I had to try and make one similar. And this is the cover on mine. That right there is a stamp that I have that I stamped on fabric and added to it. I'm going to make sure there's nothing that's going to fall out in here. And then you open it up and there is the back side of the cover with that fussy cut out of a fabric, and then we've got the embroidery and some lace and all the stitching on that. And then when we open that to the middle, up here is the part that opens up that holds your needles. And then more buttons. This is lace that's made into a pocket so that you can add stuff in there. It's got a piece of cotton with some needles that are already threaded. It's been used. This one I used for hand quilting, so that's what is on there. And then, of course, we have this. That is another little pocket that you can put some floss or whatever in, another doily, some beading, and more decorative stitching. But you can see that those are made just like a slow stitching project. So very, very nice to have. And just like potato chips, you can't eat or you can't make just one. So this is another one along that line, similar to make. And that, well, keep going upside down and backwards, but that is cut out of the middle of a doily that is put on the center there. And of course, more of the antique buttons And we'll make sure nothing's going to fall when I open that again. This is out of an old hanky. And then I stitched on the paisley pattern that was already in the fabric on that to add some embellishment and everything. And it's blanket stitched all the way around to keep the two layers together. Then when we open it up, we happen to have some brown lace, and these are all individual little pockets here, which can hold your floss bobbin with your thread on it. You can always get those off. Whoops, go the right way, Jean. You can get those off free printables. Sorry, as I keep moving my hand back and forth. On You can find a lot on Pinterest that are free printables, and you can print those off on cardstock, and then you have them. But then we have embroidery over here. Again, the little part that opens up for your pins and needles. More decorative stitching, a yo-yo with part of some lace behind it. Just the same, like I said, the same idea as you use for your slow stitching, just whatever you decide to put on it. But those are three little ones, and that's an example how you can use each one of those also to organize for a separate type of stitching, or they're also good to have as individual ones just to put what you need and throw into individual projects that you may be working on. This one right here was also received in a needle book swap, is what this one was from. And I never would have thought of doing this, but this one just opens, it's just flat and it's like trifold, and you open it and it's got two large pockets. And what I use it for is my extra needles are thrown in there. But I'm going to show you what I am going to do with those instead, because I have way too many different types of needles. We're going to take those out of there. And then this will be used instead as a regular needle book for a project from now on, instead of storing those extra needles. And I'm going to make sure I have those all out. This little tag down here, by the way, goes all the way through. You can slip a little pair of scissors in there if you need to, but very, very cute idea, very simple. The bird is the color pencil technique type thing with some stitching on it, but very neat, very quick, and very simple. But I will be using that as a project needle book instead. And then we have this one, which is wool applique, the pattern for that. And the kit was gifted to me by my good friend, Debbie Williams. And she's not on here yet this evening, is she? But so she had the kit and got me the kit. So this is the cover on that. And it says needle and thread. And then it's got the needle, I mean the pin cushion and the thread down here, and that's done in wool applique and the embroidery stitching on there. And then it's got the like the measuring tape for the closing on it. But then on this other side, we have a great big, this is a one large pocket all the way across. Oops, as I hit something else down here. And it says, I cannot count my day complete till needle thread and fabric meet. And it's got the stitching going around that, of course. And then we've got the spool of thread with the little needle sharpener that usually hangs off the top of your tomato pin cushions. And that is also wool applique. Then on the other side of that page, as we try and get that going the right direction also, we have a side pocket here that has a little fold up thing to hold needles. Let me see if I can get that open with one hand. There we go. Just like a match box, and it says the same thing that the pocket does, and then it's got the little piece of fabric there to be able to keep your needles in, and you can just slide that right in that pocket there, or anything else that you want. This is just the little flap for this pocket below. Don't have anything in this yet, haven't been using this one, but what I'm going to do, this flap is kind of kind of useless the way it is. It doesn't really keep the pocket closed or anything like that. So I'm going to lay this down here and I'm going to show you what I am going to do with that, which, yeah, I'm not going to need all this stuffing, but I have got a piece of black felt that I am going to put on the back of this and sew and leave an opening, and I am going to stuff it with some of this polyester fluffy stuffing, so that will raise that just a little bit, and that can be a pin cushion. Then it would kind of curl up like that, and I will use that as a needle and pin cushion for while you are stitching and using that. So that is my idea to change for that one. And this one, because it is wool applique, I will use that one as my needle book for using with wool applique projects and that type of thing, wool embroidery, anything like that. So we have that one. And then this one, um, I received in a drawing free on one of the sites that I follow, and it came all the way from the United Kingdom. But it is just a piece of upholstery fabric that already had the design on it and is all stitched on and everything. There is some on the back of here added over that, different ones, but part of this is from this fabric that was on the inside itself, that is an upholstery fabric. And whoever made this evidently had some extra fussy cut some of the elements out of that and put on the front cover. So, and oh, cute. Over here, it also has the little measuring, a measuring there, and the spool of thread, but just like a slow stitch project, only into a needle book. And then it just has a couple of the out of felt pages in it, which what I am going to do, because if you stick the needles through, they're going to be coming through the back side of this also. So I am going to add a few more pages to this, and I am going to make some pockets and things and add a little bit to it in the front. So there's more storage to use this for a needle book instead. So that is what I will be doing with this one, and then using it, adding some extra touches to the inside of that by adding some more pages to that. And you should all recognize this one as well. That's one that I worked on for quite a while. It is one that I did complete and finish, and I just have a ribbon on there, two antique buttons, one on the front and one on the back, so that we have a closure. But it is all started with that counted cross stitch sewing machine in the middle and trying to decide what to do with it. So decided, let's put it as on the cover in the center on a needle book, and added to all that. And you saw most of the process on this one, so we won't talk about that much, but you can see inside it has a lot of things available for storage again, which you can see how, if I can get it out here, must have more than one in this pocket. It has the little pockets that the little floss for your DMC floss or anchor or whatever you use fit right in those pockets. This is just some cute little things that are printed off that have sewing notion things on it, and another floss bobbin, but that's from an old handkerchief that was my mother's. And then this is also a handkerchief that I folded in a way when I put it on here that forms a pocket. It's got the extra on there. It does have a snap to keep it closed. And I found out that snap's a little tricky to open, but then there's a pocket here also in the way that it's folded, and a little pocket there. And then we have the pages to hold our needles and our pins in there. And we have this little embroidery key for some of the embroidery stitches that are used, that slides right in that pocket there. The toothpicks for when you're doing applique. The toothpick down there also I see, but and then on the other side we have a larger pocket and another small pocket to be able to put your stuff in. Oops, I'm sorry, that's out of, okay, I can't get it in view. Where am I? There I am. Okay. Sorry about that, but it's got the larger pocket and another pocket there. And then I also have the magnetic needle minder on there. So you have that to be able to use with your needle minders. But you can see how that is great for organization when you have everything in there that you need for your project. And you can just stick that in with it, or this would also be a good one to use to have stuff for multiple types of stitching in because it's larger and has more room. And then we will go to this one. I'm trying to go kind of in the order that they were started and made, which it's still in its container with some of the things that are supposed to be used in it yet. So because it is not finished and it has the just the little ribbon to close it as well, which this is taken from um a quilt that I had made as a table runner for my sister, and it's part left over from it, but I tea dyed it so to make it look a little older and used. But that's and this one has several pages in it. So this really shows how you can really use them for great organization. And this is an old handkerchief again that's folded and has the pockets on it. We're dragging a piece of thread there. So just by the way that you fold it, you've got two pockets back here, and then you've got two pockets here. So good for your organization again. And then I have used stamps. Trying to think which way to go. Oh, as I always turn the wrong way. But it has stamps used on that and on the other part that are added to it. And this is just for decoration on there, and the pins pin there. And let me see. Then when you open to the other part, this is a pocket, and this is to put your needles on, not stitched down yet. Again, just some decorative elements on that other side. And we have the little part that opens up there for your needles. And we have so you can put the pins and everything over there. And this, of course, isn't finished. It needs all the stitching done on it. But here we have that's going to be just a decorative page. And then here we have the pockets again, and the lace also makes the pockets. So you get the idea of how it turns into great organization there as well. And then this is the back, which is the same handkerchief that's on the front, folded the same way. So we have our double pockets there as well. And this is from a magnetic strip, and it is glued down, fused with the fusion that'll stay on there so you can put your needles on there, and it's just got the decorative lace so that it looks pretty and just not a plain magnet up there. But so that will also be great for organization and everything. And whoops, we better put it back in here with the rest of the stuff that goes with it to finish it. Slide that up out of the way. And then, of course, some of you will also recognize this one. Sorry, I have a notification popped up in front of my chat. Let me see who I'm missing here. Joe, hello, Joe. Great to see you. And Christine, hello. And there's Debbie on a shopping trip to London, Ohio with granddaughter. Okay, have fun, enjoy. Okay, so this is the one that a few of you did that we started with this canted cross stitch rose, which the rose in the pattern was red. I changed mine to yellow because yellow rose is my favorite flower. And this is not finished either. So this is on some of the uh, stick and stitch. That is, you can put whatever you want on there to be able to embroider, and then when you're done, all you have to do is wet that with some water and it will dissolve and go away. And that is there's the pocket there. I'm just going to lay this here, and then this will be pockets when it's stitched as well. And there will be beautiful embroidery work done on this, of course. And then this is going to be for needles, and it has the yellow rose and it says friendship on it. That will be embroidered as well. And then you have room if you want to add some pockets or whatever else on there. This one is just, yeah, it's not done. So, and then this opens up to have for your needles again. And then we have a pocket down here, and we have a scissors that is going to be embroidered on there. And here, this one must be in the planning stage. All it has right now is a needle and thread with a heart going on it. So who knows what we're going to do? Well, that part will go across there when it is stitched, and there'll be something decorative on there, but that's for putting more needles or pins. And then this is the back of the book, and it has the section down here that I added in fabric that is makes it look like it's a pot with those flowers coming out of it, and those will all be embroidered on there as well. So this is a larger one, and one that could be used since it's got the counted cross stitch rows on the front. You could always use this one for all your supplies and everything that you need for counted cross stitch and for whatever project you may be doing next in it. Or of course you can use it for anything or multiple ones since it's a larger one as well. But now we have all those needles I was telling you about. And what do we do with all of those? Which the first thing you want to do, and that's what has been done with these, is you want to sort them by what they actually are, which these are all embroidery needles, and I've got them by the size and the brand. So they are there. These are all chenille needles. These are this is applique. It's the only ones that I had there right now. And these are just general needles, so they're off the side. And these are all hand quilting needles. These are all ones that were in other stuff as well as these, and they need to be sorted and put with these, which this is applique. So you look where you have your applique. These are regular general sewing needles. These are milliner's needles, which I'm sorry, not holding them up there, which is what is used for our why do I always forget the name of that now? I can't believe that do that. I keep wanting to call it the wrong name, and then the name Kawandi. These are what I use for the Kawandi. So I don't have a stack for those yet. And these are applique. These are applique. These are applique, and those are a beading applique, but those are also applique. And then down here we have hand quilting needles, hand quilting, hand quilting. These are embroidery. Where do I have those? Up here. This is just a general assortment. These are embroidery. And that is everything. Now, what do we do with those? Well, over here, I already have some of the cases that I use, and they are usually used for photo storage, but they come in very handy for other things, and you can label that. So this one says hand quilting, and in it, it has hand quilting needles that are used for hand quilting. It also has some other things that I use in hand quilting, which is the new skin, because your underneath finger sometimes gets a little raw and a little sore. So I use that on my underneath finger when it starts bothering me. It's like a liquid bandage, and you are able to keep stitching when you have that. Joe says she has so many needles, I can't keep track. Yes, great idea, which these are for all the extra ones that you don't put in your needle books like I showed for having handy. But I have so many hand quilting ones that of course there are two boxes for that, which this has thimbles and some other things in it, some of the 1/4 inch tape that some people use for marking until they get used to being able to eyeball that, but then it's got some of the others. But I'm going to have to add another box to that, which I have bears, which let me show you real quickly what those are actually stored in and what they come from. I have to get up to grab that. But they all end up going in this great big case. You can see the part where I have the ones out that I took out that are stored in this, and I'll show you that again when I'm in the other camera. But they all, there's little slots and they all just go right in there, and then it's got the handle on that, and you just can store that wherever you trying to find the hand. I can't get it in the view. We'll do that on the bigger camera. I'll show you that again. But that's what those all go into. So you have those all in one area on a shelf or whatever stored. But yeah, all these extra hand quilting ones, which are right here, need to go in here. So I now know where those are. And we need to label that, so we're not wondering what it is we put in there. I have all these labels, so we will get one out. And we are going to mark it hand quilting. Take that off and put on the front and add that to the rest. And then we already have one that's labeled embroidery and has the embroidery needles in there. And those are all of these. I'm gonna hope that they're gonna fit in there, which I don't have to keep those. I don't have to keep those clips in there. That was to keep them so they weren't all over the place until I got them in the box. Sorry about that. We don't need those in there. Then we'll be wondering what happened to all my clips. These are embroidery and these are embroidery. So now they are all in there instead of all over the place that I found them when I was going through stuff. Then we have one marked slow stitching, which that is normally all my chenille needles, which are right here. So we're going to put those in there. And I took the clip off of that. Put those to the side. And then we have the one marked applique. So all of our applique ones up here now are going to go in there where they should be. And I'll know exactly where to look when I'm looking for needles instead of going all over the place wondering, okay, where did I put them? And I do not have one for the general needles, and I do not have one for, I have the label for it though. I have a label for Kawandi. I just hadn't put any needles in it yet. Flip that over so it's on the front side. And I know I have more needles than that. It's probably in my project, but I'm going to put those in there. And I have one that is for Shashiko, and I know where those all are. I'm going to leave that there because I have to get those out. We'll do that later because I need one that is just for general sewing. And we've got the case over here. Put that on there. And now we turn it around so it's on the top. You slide those in there, and there you have all your extra needles all stacked. See all those? Yeah. Put it just there. You can see. And I will put those back in the bigger container in just a minute. I'm going to slide those out of the way. So that is a great way for those of you that wonder how to organize all of your needles. And as I was going through the needle books, this is some of the stuff that you will use and put in your needle books when you decide what you are using them for, which in almost, this is just something that's extra in there. Okay. But These are all my extra little scissors in here because every needle book should have a pair of scissors in it. We've got extra needle threaders in here. We've got little seam rippers are good to have in a needle book. These are some extra. We've got hand quilting, chenille, which already on the stuff, so that may be added to a needle book as well. We have a little handmade needle puller and that type of stuff, and that is in there. So when you are putting your needle book together for the organization, like I showed you, you have this with your extras in it to put in there. And then when I do the needle books, I like to use decorative pins in them. So we have, what do we have here? We have decorative pins that are buttons. Hello, Gisela. Haven't seen you for a while. It's great to see you. And Christine says she has acquired a large collection of loose needles and have no idea what they are for or what size, etc. Yes, those just that I have some of those too, Christine. That happens because we have a tendency to just stick them someplace when we're working with them instead of having already, if you have the needle books and make that up and have it organized, you'll be able to put them in there to avoid that happening. But when I have needles that I'm not sure what they are, they just stay in a pin cushion that's out on my desk someplace. And when I kind of figure out what they are, they get placed wherever, or you just pull from it for general stitching, and whatever it doesn't work, you just find another one in there and take it out. But I try to eventually get them where they do belong, but that does happen. But in this one, I'm not sure, how does this one, whoa. We just lost one pin out of it. But these are little blue birds on these. Cute box the way these are. But so those are also decorative. And then this one, and these, once you open them, I like to, because it's easy to forget which way it opened, and they're hard to remember how to open. There we go. It slides open. But once I open them, because I can never remember, and you don't want to open it upside down, they all fall out, I mark top on there with a little sticker so I remember. And once you've used all the pins, I use these to keep beads in for my slow stitching projects. But these are all birds of different colors in this. And this one is the same, and it's all little tulip flowers. And this one is all spools of thread. So those are some cute pins to have to use in when you're putting the pins in your needle books. And I think, yes, it looks like that is basically, oh, I did forget, and they're all lined up here. So since they're lined up here, we will take these down. I have, I'm gonna see, yeah, well, that'll show up that way. I have quite the magnetic needle minder collection, and I like to put one of those in every one of my needle books as well. And so this is a cute little teapot and teacup, and most of mine are Beverly McCullough are a lot of the ones that I collect. Yes, cute pins. Something happened to Gisela. Okay, she says, no, have not been able to sew anything since I hurt my wrist. You broke the bone, but I have problems with tendons and going to do in the beginning of June. All right, I am so sorry, Gisela. That's got to be painful. I hope that the surgery that they do for the tendons in June helps and that you have a quick recovery. But this is from the Featherweight Company, and this is a featherweight sewing machine, and it's holding a little quilt block with a featherweight on it. But these will go into the needle books, and then that's the little yellow truck with flowers in the back, and it's got a quilt block on the door of it. But this teapot, the wheelbarrow of flowers, this yellow truck, and this one, which is a coffee shop. Those are all Beverly McCullough ones, and have had several that I also give as gifts a lot of times on those. And then we have this one that is a bee, and it already has, I can tell that it was over there on the magnet thing because that is the one that I use on my Kawandi, because that is a Kawandi needle right there. So that one we're putting up there because that needs to go back. But that I also put one of those in every one of the needle books, so I have it to use while I am stitching as well. So those were up there. And this is the extra one, like you saw earlier, that is empty. And I am going to line this one with fabric and make pockets in it for special things to hold. So when you open and close, your scissors will stay in a scissors pocket and some other stuff. But I'm going to be a little more decorative with the inside of this one. And that's what's up there. But that is all that I had to show you and give you the ideas and tips for taking your obsession with needle books and making them useful for also organization, so you can be all organized and know where all your needles are for all of your projects. And before I forget, now that I'm on the, I can't grab that with that arm right now. We reach with both, but this is the big container that I was showing you, and then it does have the handle on this side. Just always make sure you pick up the right one to carry it by, because the other one actually opens it. So, and all of those that we just did will go back in here in the slots, and it'll go back on the shelf, and everything will be in there, which just to show you, yeah, this one, all the little finger things that we use for pulling our needles, that's where those all are. And so, yes, this is one that is all for sewing notions and stuff like that. These are all extra thimbles in this one. But yeah, quite the, and these are for when your wrist hurts and whatever, to put on the little tension gloves. But so the other stuff that also goes in there. And those will all be in there neat, all in one place, and we'll be able to find it. So again, I hope that gives some of you some great ideas for how you can store your needles, how you can use your needle books as either a multiple use needle book for organization, or you can use it for individual hand quilting, one for hand quilting, one for applique, one for embroidery, one for wool embroidery, that type of thing. So you have it all ready, separated, and have the correct needles and everything that you use for those projects in an individual needle book. Gives you an excuse for making more needle books, because if you're like me, you like to have a needle book in every single project that you have going. And I have several at a time. So, hello, Melissa. It is great to see you. Yes, you're just a little late, but that's okay. You can always catch the replay later and catch up on all the tips and everything. Donna says, is the assembly of needle books similar to the journal we are working on? Yes, it is similar, except instead of using the SF-101 on the back of your page, you will be using a layer of leftover batting, thin batting, or you can use, uh, what was I going to say? Thin flannel, because that is what you will be using, because you'll be doing a lot of decorative embroidery stitching on that, and it's not going to have as many pages to it, and it's smaller, so it won't end up, real thick, as if we were going to do that with the one that we are using for the embroidery slow stitching journal. That's why we only use the SF-101 on there, because it makes it not as thick. But you want, because it's the needle book, you want the extra padding. See, which you will, it's done the same. It's just that each one of those pages will have that double, like two of the batting between each page section instead. Donna, good question. And Christine says, I have one of those containers and never found a practical use for it. Well, I think you found a practical use for it now. I have 3 or 4 of them that I use for all my beads are sorted, and the things I used to make jewelry. So all the jewelry stuff and all the beads are in them. And I have 2 of them out here that I use for keeping things separated and in order. But they come in very handy. Danielle says, well, it's time for me to admit to something. I'm highly addicted to EPP. Okay. Well, that will come in for small EPP. You can keep your sections that you cut separated and labeled and in there. Oh, yeah. I was thinking of something else. But yeah, all your little EPP templates and stuff would store in those greatly also. And you will also need a needle book for your EPP, Danielle. So there you go. Way to keep the needles that you use for that and everything handy with your EPP project. But okay. So unless anyone has any other questions or comments, I hope that inspired you to gather up all of those needles, needle packages, pins, scissors, needle threaders that you have laying all over and organize them by putting them into needle books, or and your excess needles, at least putting them into the storage containers and labeling them and having them separated like I showed you for a tip. And Joe says, crafty addiction is awesome. Yes, any craft and everything is. And Danielle says, I know I need one for my EPP and one for my hand quilting. Yes. And great to see you also, Joe. Thank you very much. To-do list just keeps building. Yeah, I'm not even gonna go there. But now you can also justify if you have a needle minder collecting obsession too. You found a way to, okay, I use them for my organization. They go into my needle books. So we can find a way to justify all those little things are that we like to collect and have around. So and our decorative pins as well. And so enjoy. You can go out and buy more now if you don't have and go, oh, I want to make a needle book and I don't have all that stuff. I'm giving you permission to go shop. So take care, everyone. And remember, again, as always, in the list, ooh, more pretties, yes. In the meantime, until I see you again, I can keep you in stitches.